This is Algebra 2, test number 4. This is part 2. We're picking up with number 18 on our study guide. It says graph the equation y equals 4 over 5x minus 1. It doesn't tell you how to graph, but the only way we looked at how to graph today was plugging in values to make this work. So if we plug in, you always want to have at least 3 values for x and y. So your input is your x and your output is your y, or your domain is x, your range is y. So if you always want to use easy ones, -1, 0, and 1. When you plug those values in, 4/5 times -1 is -4/5, and then -4/5 minus 1 would be -1 and 4/5. 4/5, if we plug in 0 in place of x this time, times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is -1. And then 4/5 times 1 is 4/5. So 4/5 minus 1 will be -1/5. So we have 3 ordered pairs now. -1 is our x value. And then -1 and 4/5 would be -9 over 5 if you write it as an improper fraction. But we'll go ahead and leave it as. So we got -1 and -1 and 4/5 as our first ordered pair. Second ordered pair is 0, -1. And the third order pair is 1, -1/5. So that's just 3 points right there. If we graph those 3, we don't have to go far on our Cartesian plane. In fact, we don't have to go past 2 on any of them. We're going to have to do a little estimating as to where it is, because we're talking about 4/5. First one, -1, -1 and 4/5. You go to -1 as your x value. That's this spot here. That's not a pointer. I just want to show you where you're going to. Then you go -1, so go down 1 and 4/5. So the first point will actually be right about here, right above the line for 2. Then 0, -1, you don't go left or right at all. You just go down on your y value 1. And then 1, -1/5. So go to the right 1 time, and -1/5 will be right below the line. So if my tick marks were all even, this will give us a nice straight line through those points, and that would be the line graph. 19 says find the slope of this line. The points that are highlighted for you, one of them's on 4, and the other one's kind of in the middle of this line right here. But if you notice, it's counting by 2 each time. It's not counting by 1. So you're actually going down. When you're talking about slope, it's the change of y over the change of x. What that means is the change of y is how many times it goes up or down over how many times it goes left or right. So if you count just to see, it goes down 1 right here. Even though it's going to the middle, remember it's counting by 2. So it's going down 1. Anytime you go down, it's negative. And it's going to the right 2, 4, 6, 8 times. So to the right is +8. So your slope for this equation is -1 over 8. Find the slope of these numbers. The slope formula, you don't really need to remember the slope formula. You just got to remember it's the change of y over the change of x. But the slope formula is this. It's y sub 2 minus y sub 1. If you're talking about the change of things, you're talking about the difference of 2 things. And when you're talking about the difference of 2 things, it means to subtract over the change of x. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. Same thing. So the easiest way is to label them. xy, xy. This is sub 1, this is sub 2. And just plug your values in. Y sub 2's value, that's this 0 right here, minus y sub 1's value is -5. Minus a negative means plus. So we have 0 plus 5 on the top. And then x sub 2's value is 9, minus x sub 1's value is 7. So you have 0 plus 5, which is 5. And 9 minus 2, with 9 minus 7, which is 2. So your slope of these 2 points is 5 over 2. (21) we simplify. -2 plus -3. So think of your number line if you have to. You start at -2, then you go into the left 3 more times, you get -5 for that one. or add the absolute values 2 and 3. Keep the common sign negative. 22 says 3 times negative 7. Opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. 3 times 7 is 21. Since they're opposite signs, it's negative. Then negative 12 divided by 3. Just like opposite signs for multiplying are negative, opposite signs for dividing are also negative. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. 24 says divide these fractions. 3/8 divided by 8 over 16. Anytime you divide fractions 3 over 8, it becomes multiplication, and you multiply by the reciprocal. Instead of 8 over 16, multiply by 16 over 8. Division becomes multiplication by the reciprocal. You can cross cancel these. 8 goes into itself once, and 8 goes into 16 twice. Then when you multiply straight across, 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 8 is 8. You have to simplify this fraction. The number 2 goes into both. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 4 is 8. We can divide 2 by 2, cancel out. We're left with 3 over 4 for this one. 25 says write 399 miles in 11.2 hours as a rate in simplest form. 390 miles. Rate equals distance over time. We've been looking at one for a couple of weeks now. So your distance measurement is 399 miles or 399 miles. Your time measurement is 11.4 hours. And 399 divided by 11.4 is, in fact, 35 miles per hour. (26) says evaluate y equals x plus 7 times x minus 5, where x's value is 8. So in place of x both times, you're going to plug in 8. So y equals 8 plus 7 times 8 minus 5. Do what's in parentheses first. 8 plus 7 is 15 times 8 minus 5 is 3. So y equals 15 times 3, or y equals 45. 27, name the properties. Distributing for the first one. -6 multiplies by both terms. That's the distributive property. Notice all that happens for number 28 is the terms move. Pi plus 11 becomes 11 plus pi. They just move or they commute. So that's the commutative property, and it's property of addition because it's adding. Had it been multiplying, it would have been of multiplication. Then -5.9 plus 0 is equal to -5.9. Notice what it is when it starts and what it is when it finishes. It's the same. Its identity remains unchanged. Therefore, that's the identity property. And again, that's of multiplication, since you're talking about multiplication, of addition, talking about addition. (30) says evaluate the expression given the variables a's value is -6, b's value is 3. So negative a's value is -6. -4 times b's value is 3. All we did right there was substituted in given values. -6 is the same thing as -1 times -6, which is a +6. -4 times 3 is -12. All it is multiplying because of order of operations. 6 minus 12 is -6. That's subtracting order of operations. 31 says -4 times 4h minus 4 over -4 plus h when h's value is 3. Plug in both places of h, you're plugging in 3. So -4 times 4 times 3 minus 4 over -4 plus 3. Do what's inside, that's all that is substituting in given values. Do what's inside parentheses first. You have to do multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12 minus 4. Still multiplying times -4 on the outside, and -4 plus 3 on the bottom. Do what's inside parentheses again. 12 minus 4, all that was right there was doing parentheses or even multiplying inside parentheses, order of operations. Do it inside parentheses again. 12 minus 4 is 8 times -4, -4 plus 3 on the bottom. All that is doing parentheses again, doing subtraction inside parentheses. -4 times 8 is -32 over -4 plus 3. Just to keep everything together, that's multiplying order of operations. Then simplify what's on the bottom. -32 over -4 plus 3 is -1. That's just adding because of order of operations. Then it says -32 divided by -1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive 32. That's just positive 32. And that's just dividing because of order of operations. 32 says x squared plus 3x minus 5 when x's value is 2. X's value, we're going to plug in 2 plus 3 times 2 minus 5. All we did right there was substitute in given values. 2 squared is what has to happen next. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3 times 2 minus 5. That's just evaluating exponents because of order of operations. Do multiplication next. 3 times 2 is 6. So 4 plus 6 minus 5, that's just multiplication because of order of operations. Then just work addition and subtraction left to right. 4 plus 6 is 10. That's just adding. Rule is order of operations. And then finish it up. 10 minus 5 is 5. That's just subtraction, order of operations. And then finally the last one. X cubed plus x squared minus 2x minus 4 when x's value is -3. So -3 cubed plus -3 squared minus 2 times -3 minus 4. All we did right there was substitute it in given values. Then we're going to do our exponents right here. -3 times -3 is a positive 9. And positive 9 times -3 is -27. -3 times -3 is going to be a positive 9. -2 times -3 minus 4. All we did right there was we evaluated exponents because of order of operations. We're going to multiply next. -2 times -3 is a positive 6. Bring everything else down and we'll do it all on the same steps. That's just multiplying because of order of operations. Then work subtraction and addition left to right. -27 plus 9 is going to be -18. That's just addition because of order of operations. Or we can say we're combining our like terms and we can knock them all out in one step. -18 plus 6 would be -12, and -12 minus 4 would be -16. And all that would be is combining like terms.